Donald Trump and his allies have consistently clung to one virtue as the administration grappled with new revelations that Donald Trump Jr. and other campaign officials met with a Kremlin-connected lawyer in June 2016 to get dirt about Hillary Clinton: transparency. But by Friday, as new details about the meeting emerged in media reports, critics saw again what they described as a pattern of half-truths, dodges and outright falsehoods from the White House. Moments before the New York Times published emails revealing planning for the now infamous meeting, Donald Trump Jr. released the emails himself on Twitter, claiming that, after days of changing his story, he decided to release the documents in order to be totally transparent. "My son is a high-quality person and I applaud his transparency," President Trump said in a statement later that day. "Every single day we do our best to give the most accurate information that we have, and we continue to do that every single day, and have offered to be as transparent as possible with all committees and anyone looking into this matter," Principal Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Sanders told reporters on Wednesday. "Our goal is to be as transparent as humanly possible." By Friday, as damaging new details about the meeting emerged, the White House offered little immediate pushback or explanation. NBC News revealed on Friday morning that a Russian American with suspected ties to Russian intelligence had also attended the June meeting. Also, Yahoo News reported that Trump's legal team had been aware of the meeting for more than 3 weeks. Neither of those crucial details had been released by Trump Jr. or the White House. Neither the White House nor a spokesman for Trump's outside counsel responded to Politico's requests for comment on Friday. "The claims of transparency have never reflected reality," said Noah Bookbinder, the executive director of Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, a watchdog group that has been critical of Trump and his aides. The administration writ large and Donald Trump Jr. in particular, who's not part of the administration but obviously has a lot of ties to it, made a lot of statements denying that meetings like this took place for a long time. Time and again, the White House has revealed only partial information about topics related to the Russia probe, only to fill in more details as media reports emerge. The White House knew, for example, for weeks that Michael Flynn had discussed sanctions with the Russian ambassador to the United States during the transition and then lied about it. But that only emerged after the Huffington Post broke the news. And the story around the June 2016 meeting at Trump Tower with the Kremlin-linked lawyer has changed numerous times as the New York Times has reported new details. While the White House press shop and Trump himself have asserted that Trump only heard about the meeting days before it became public, even that assertion now seems to be in question. In fact, maybe it was mentioned at some point, Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One on a transatlantic flight Wednesday night. The White House has also retreated from other norms surrounding transparency. Trump still has not released his tax returns, breaking decades of precedent for presidential candidates. The White House has discontinued publication of its visitor logs and largely ended televised daily briefings. And the White House press team regularly disregards reporters' requests for information. This administration has lacked transparency in almost every respect, Bookbinder said. "It seems like they're seizing on an issue that is clearly a weakness and just calling it a strength and hoping that people would believe that. Being forced to reveal information because it's about to be public is not transparency," said Norm Eisen, who served as President Barack Obama's ethics czar. "The proof that the administration and the Trump family's behavior is non-transparent is the fact that they are continually dribbling out the half-truths and partial disclosures in the exact measure necessary to anticipate the day's looming public revelation. Of course, the ramifications of misleading the media and the public only go so far. If the Trump team has engaged in similar obfuscation with investigators, the consequences could be severe. Lying under oath, of course, is perjury, and lying to the FBI during a federal investigation is also a crime. Already, Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law and a senior advisor, has run into trouble when reporting meetings with foreign contracts to the FBI for his security clearance. He has updated his list 3 times and added more than 100 names, the New York Times reported recently. One Republican political operative close to the White House has repeated the same phrase for months when pressed on the Russia scandal, The truth always comes out. Trump badly lagging Obama, Bush, Clinton in political appointees. 6 months into his administration, President Donald Trump has far fewer political appointees in place than his 4 predecessors, stoking discontent among senior members of his administration and those seeking action with the federal government. Trump's 4 predecessors were at least 3 times faster than the current president at getting their nominees into their desks. Some 49 of Trump's key nominees have been confirmed as of Thursday, according to the Partnership for Public Service, a nonpartisan group that tracks more than 500 key appointments. That's compared to 201 for Barack Obama, 185 for George W. Bush, 196 for Bill Clinton and 148 for George H. W. Bush. What that means is entire wings of the government are largely devoid of Trump appointees, with few of the president's aides setting policies, reviewing regulations, overseeing the bureaucracy or being available for meetings with advocates, lobbyists or others. On some key policy pushes like healthcare and taxes, policymaking is being run largely from the West Wing, partially because there are few people at the agencies. I don't believe any prior president has done this fast enough, but this administration is far lagging every other administration, said Max Stier, who has advised transitions of both parties and runs the partnership. You're not exaggerating to say this is a big problem for them. The White House has pinned much of the blame on Senate Democrats, accusing them of obstructing Trump's nominees as part of a broader attempt to thwart the president's agenda. Democrats, however, point out that Trump's pace of nominating political appointees has been slower than his predecessors. Trump's team says there is a renewed effort in place to nominate picks more quickly, noting the administration now has 150 nominations in the queue waiting for a Senate hearing. And there are a lot more in the pipeline, said Mark Short, the administration's legislative affairs director. Short blamed Democrats for slowing many of the nominees with cloture votes, or forcing 30 hours of debate and an up-and-down vote, for nominees that are not controversial, including a judge this week who was eventually confirmed 100-0. Another pick was confirmed 97-3 after a cloture vote was called. The administration has already faced 30 cloture votes. That's more than any Congress since 1949 other than in 2013, after Obama was re-elected, according to the Pew Research Center. They are trying to delay the legislative agenda, Short said of the Democrats. Would it matter if we had 250 in a backlog instead of 150? Short said the administration planned to do a better job of reminding the American people that such jobs were important for the administration as they put together a policy agenda, cut regulations and oversee the vast federal government. A different senior administration official said the White House would consider recess appointments if necessary. This person said it took several months for some White House officials to realize that appointments are such a big deal. Democrats, for their part, are feeling little pressure to speed up any of Trump's nominees. A senior Democratic aide said the party was deliberately delaying nominees because of the president's approach and policy agenda and would also continue to invoke the 2-hour rule, which keeps committees from meeting longer than 2 hours. This person said there was no benefit to having more of Trump's people in place. We are not going to consent to time agreements while Republicans are trying to jam through a health care bill, the aide said. Matt House, a spokesman for Schumer, scoffed at Short's claims that the slowing of the picks would hurt the administration's broader agenda. What legislative agenda? He said. Among close observers of Washington government and the lobbying community, Trump's nomination process has been perplexing and frustrating. It has been dominated by fights between cabinet secretaries and the White House Office of Presidential Personnel, divided by the White House factions and slowed by nominees with complicated ethics forms, which have led some to withdraw. Schumer said on the floor last week that Trump had nominated picks slower than his predecessors, which is accurate, according to the Partnership for Public Service. Trump has named 206 nominees, while Obama had named 355, George W. Bush had named 313, Clinton had named 267 and George H. W. Bush had named 243. There has been a huge swath of federal policy where there were no political appointees at all, said Barry Bennett, a lobbyist and former Trump campaign aide. There are finally some deputies to have meetings with, and it's getting better by the day. A different lobbyist said the hiring slowdown had led to more headaches for West Wing aides, who receive the brunt of calls when agency officials aren't in place. You go to these departments, and there literally is no one to talk to, this person said. You call the White House, and they say, "Oh, we don't have any of our people for you." Matt Schlapp, a conservative activist close to the White House, said many Republicans are increasingly concerned about the openings, and that many of the bureaucrats overwhelmingly oppose the president. Politically, they're doing a very good job of hobbling the president, Schlapp said of Democrats in the nominating process. One of the reasons they've had all these leaks is they don't have appropriate control of their agencies, who feel like the parents have left and there is no babysitter. Steyer said the administration, in recent weeks, had piled up more nominees than the Senate can quickly handle. Falling behind makes it really hard to catch up, he said. Deems one scrutiny of Iga Trump over Kushner's Russian contacts. Congressional Democrats raising questions about Jared Kushner's campaign contacts with Russia are beginning to ask, what did Iga Trump know, and when? President Donald Trump's daughter and senior aide has largely escaped scrutiny while Kushner, her husband, has faced intensifying questions about his failure to disclose meetings with Russian officials and associates during the 2016 presidential campaign and transition to the White House. Those questions exploded this week, amid revelations that Kushner attended a Trump Tower meeting, arranged by the president's son, Donald Trump Jr., with officials purporting to have damaging information from the Russian government on Hillary Clinton. Iga Trump, like Kushner, applied for a security clearance this past spring, and as a result, she was required to disclose not only her own foreign contacts, but those of her spouse and siblings as well. Democrats want to know if she made some of the same omissions as her husband. We learned this week that Iga Trump's husband, Jared Kushner, updated his filing of that form 3 times, most recently to include the June 2016 meeting. Did Iga Trump disclose that meeting on her initial SF-86 filing? Said Representative Don Bayer, DVA, has she updated her security clearance paperwork to reflect this and other meetings which Jared Kushner failed to disclose subsequently? The high standard to which we hold advisors to the president requires that we get answers to these questions, and I intend to raise them with the Trump administration, he said. Iga Trump also has her own relationships with people abroad. Her friendship with Dasa Zukova, the daughter of a well-connected Russian oligarch, has been well documented. She's also made trips to Russia to scout out business deals for the Trump Organization, and she even met in 2014 with Emina Galarev, one of the figures who helped arrange the Trump Tower meeting that her husband and brother attended a year ago. A White House spokesman did not respond to a request for comment. The office of Representative Mike Conaway, R. Texas, the leader of the House's Russia probe, declined to comment. The security clearance application for federal officials, known as an SF-86, asks whether you or any member of your immediate family in the past 7 years had any contact with a foreign government, its establishment, such as embassy, consulate, agency, military service, intelligence or security service, etc., or its representatives, whether inside or outside the U.S. The form clarifies that immediate family includes spouses, parents and siblings, among others. Deliberately omitting facts, the form notes, is considered a felony that carries up to 5 years in prison. Bayer told Politico that when he became ambassador to Switzerland in 2008 and filled out his own security clearance form, I had to talk to my wife. It's not just foreign contacts, it's also do you have serious foreign friends? If you have a really close French friend, they want to know that, he said. Reports that Kushner didn't disclose meetings with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak prompted an initial outcry from Democrats in April, and their criticism grew amid ensuing reports that Kushner attempted to set up a back channel with the Kremlin. Bayer previously led about 50 House Democrats to call for Kushner's clearance to be revoked. But the new revelation that Kushner attended a meeting with Kremlin-connected figures with Trump Jr. in June 2016, and failed to record it on his security form, has prompted a new round of scrutiny. This time, Democrats say, they want to know whether Ivanka Trump may have referenced any of the meetings on her form as well. Representative Mike Quigley, DL, a member of the House Intelligence Committee, said one of the reasons the Trump team is facing so many challenges is their interconnection and closeness. Trump made the decision to tap family members for senior White House positions, and as a result put them in a position in which disclosure forms require reporting on each other and their other close family members' relationships. What the Trump team is doing is, from a legal point of view, they're intertwining themselves, Quigley said. They're interconnecting and therefore implicating each other, at least in the investigation.